Welcome back everybody, Robin here again with some information on taking your Photoshop Elements skills, I suppose, right up to the top by understanding the principle behind layer masking. And layer masking, I was actually incredibly surprised when I saw this appear in a previous version of Photoshop Elements, because you think, wow, you know, this is the one thing that was a holdout in Photoshop, or one of the few things that made this huge difference between the very expensive Photoshop and the very inexpensive Photoshop Elements. And now we have it clearly in Photoshop Elements. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put together a poster, and we're going to use the same technique I've shown you before of creating a new document, which is simply go to the File menu and choose New Document. And I'm going to choose, I'm not really terribly sure what we're going to do here, presets. I'm going to use probably international paper, and I'm going to choose the biggest one, which is A3, and click OK. So we get a white sheet of paper, and I'm going to image rotate it around. So as you can see from my photo bin, I've got a bunch of iconic sort of Cuban Revolution type pictures. Not that I'm particularly into revolution, I just think they're kind of nice images really, and they evoke a particular time, I suppose. So I'm very going to quickly just going to push some of these into this document here. Let's have a look what else we got here. We've got this one, which is pretty cool, pretty weird, sort of Russian one. Cuban Revolution, I think, which is really small, and blockade Cuba. Okay, so we've got a bunch of different pictures. Here's one, Revolution. Okay, all right, and the idea is I want to just assemble these into a poster. So we will use our Control or Command T command just to shrink or transform some of these images to smaller pictures. So otherwise, at the moment, they're kind of just covering everything else up in the picture. Control plus allows me to shrink the whole picture down a little bit, and we're going to just shrink this one down a little bit more. It kind of tends, it may take several minutes just fiddling around, and the idea is I want to kind of get them in an approximate sort of arrangement, but not necessarily the final arrangement. I think this Daily News can come down really small. The Daily News, we blockade Cuba. What a business that was, wasn't it? Cuban Missile Crisis. Politicians, eh? Okay, and that's cool. I'm going to make sure Che's face is nice and clear here. This is going to go down nice and small. Pop that up bottom of the picture here, Revolution. So I think we're probably going to put that one in there. Blockade arms. We can bring this little phantom. So I'm just sort of positioning these guys reasonably small, and we're going to have this one, the red one. Of course, I've got no idea what it is. It's probably just hands off my missiles or something. And we're going to have the red one on top. So meanwhile, I'm going to turn off pretty much the rest of those pictures. So just to simplify things. So we've got Che, and we've got this, I don't know if it's Russian or it looks Russian. Yeah, guy saying, right, attention all tanks, or what have you. Essentially, I'm just going to stretch Che a little bit. Okay, so there we've got the background. Now, what we're going to do is this. I could just use the eraser brush and, you know, meld it in so that we've got the red picture blending in with the background Che picture. I could do that. However, there's a better way. The problem being is if I use this technique just using the eraser brush and I can, you know, do this, it's kind of okay, but then if you go like several clicks down the track and you import another picture and you realize, uh-oh, I've got to go back on this one, it's really hard. So what we do is we apply a thing called a layer mask, and that's this little fella up here. Just click it once, bingo, the layer mask appears. So the idea being is we can add opacity or reduce opacity simply by painting black or white. So a couple of the key points in this technique is, number one, make sure that the layer mask, when you're working on the layer mask, make sure the layer mask thumbnail, this little white square or rectangle, is actually highlighted in blue. If the photo is highlighted in blue, just go and mouse click the white rectangle. That means anything you do to it is going to apply to the mask, not to the photo, because if I start painting on the photo, it's going to look a bit daft. And we use a brush. If you have anything other than black and white set, and of course you may have been painting away and you've got something happening here, so what you can do is this. You can very simply just press D on the keyboard and it defaults to black and white. So very often, you know, we have different colors set, so we need to just press D on the keyboard to reset. Now, in layer mask mode, what I do is I just paint in the photo. Wow. Okay, so it looks like I'm erasing. When I let go of the mouse, you can see this big pile of black stuff lands on the mask. Okay, do it again. I'm going to be a little bit more careful. And I'm just going to paint around here. So I've got this brush turned up to full power. You know, it's 100% opacity, so it's going at full power. So I can probably bring it back down to a little bit slower. Always a good idea just to go nice and slow with this. So I just paint over this gently a few times, get it around the cheek, okay? And you can see I'm making a mask. Now, at any stage, if I think, ooh, I've gone a bit too far, I've gone, oh my goodness, I've gone and stuffed that up. So I just press X on the keyboard, and if you look at the layer or the color pickers down at the bottom left-hand side, X marks the spot, and it just flicks from black foreground to black background. So then I go and paint white back into the mask, and lo and behold, at the same speed, I paint over my mistake, and I can go back into reverse. So keep your finger hovering on the X key, because that just allows you to very nicely cover up your mistakes. And let's face it, you are going to make a few mistakes, especially if you're doing something like this. You know, it's kind of hard to work out exactly where you're going. So you can just do it and then kind of repaint it. Okay, just repaint it when you've played around a couple of times. So I would just mess around with it. So that's looking okay. So then we'll turn the next layer on, a Soviet propaganda poster or something, I don't know where that came from. Put a layer mask onto that and do exactly the same thing by painting into it. Now I'm going to speed the process up a little bit. Okay, you're pointing that at me, and it's kind of like, there we go. What I'm going to try and do here is also mask out the hard edges. Okay, the hard edges. So as soon as you mask out the hard edges, it really begins to look kind of cool, because, let's just bring that over there, because you're introducing, it almost looks like you're blending these in. Now, just want a bit more bayonet on this chap's head. More bayonet, please, waiter. Thank you very much. So I'm just going to make that go much smaller. Press X to go back. Press X to go back. There we go. Can literally just get a bit of that bayonet back again. Press X to go the other way, and then just shave a little bit off here. So you can be very, very accurate with your brush work, and if you're not, which occasionally I'm not, I have to admit, you can just go back and redo it. Fantastic. Whoops, gone the wrong way there. X marks the spot. X definitely marks the spot. There we go. Okay, let's put another layer in here. We'll use the clenched fist. Always means revolution or something, doesn't it? So we can have a clenched fist, I don't know, just down here somewhere. Put a layer mask onto this layer, and again, just using the regular brush tool, start painting into it. Again, if nothing happens, you know you're painting white onto white. So hit the X key, and immediately you can see it just nibbling away at the edges. So it's a very powerful, I think it's one of the best things since sliced bread, because it just allows amazing control over what you want to create with your images. And infinite repeatability, because of course we can do it 100 times, backwards and forwards, just to get it right. Not all of us are very good with mice. I mean, drawing with a mouse is very, very tough. Here's another good thing. Look, once I've done it, I can actually drag it wherever I want. So I can redesign the thing, and it drags the layer mask, obviously, which is associated with the pixels with it. So we get this nice combination. And I think we might just leave that as is, and we'll turn this little fellow on here. And maybe just do that, put that up there, say OK, add a layer mask to that. OK, and then brush, get painting. OK, and so we're basically just going for Revolución Cubana, my dreadful Spanish pronunciation. OK, so you see what I'm doing here. I'm just basically building up a series of selected, this more looks like a comic strip, doesn't it, with Fidel Castro there, really weird. I'm doing this sort of build up of elements, and rather than just having very dry squares or rectangles that are just cut out, this is, I suppose, the ultimate scrapbooking tool, isn't it, really? We've got a really nice, let's go back onto this mask, got a really nice, okay, get rid of that Russian writing, there we go, fantastic. What I'm going to do now is go to the photo layer on that Russian one, the yellowish color, and I'm not going to do that, I'm going to make it go black and white. So to try and meld it in a little bit with the background. There we go, wow, okay. So now it looks as though it's part of the Che layer, simply because it's gone a little bit black and white. Let's try that with the red Russian poster background. And again, I'm using hue and saturation. I can bring that down to 0. Okay, that's looking pretty good. I'm actually going to pump up the contrast a little bit on that, I think. Why? Well, because I can. There you go, something like that. Okay, and then we may even try this with a Revolution logo and see if that works. Never tried this before. Okay, that looks a bit of a weird one because it's sticking out of his forehead. So maybe we can put that up there. I think we need to do a little bit more work on that particular logo. Don't be afraid to zoom in, of course. Whoops. Don't be afraid to change the brush size as well, Robin, because that's just a huge old brush. There we go. Fantastic. So that essentially is just a very, very quick summary of what you can do with this amazing tool called layer masks. As you can see here, I'm dragging this around. I've still got a bit of something funny happening over here, so I might want to get in there and just tidy that up. I've changed face. I'll be put in jail if I get caught doing this in Cuba. That's for sure. Let's have a look at this. Okay, I think we've probably got a little bit too much over there, so I'm going to fade that down just a tiny bit. There we go. And I could probably spend 10 or 15 minutes just tidying this up, but ending up with a fantastic collage. I'm going to go back and now we're going to try and fix this geezer up. Blockade Cuba arms. And I'm going to be a little bit smart here. Well, smarter than normal. Again, I'm going to make this go black and white. I think it just is pretty good for emphasis. It's a little bit muddy, so I'm going to use levels. Oops. Levels here. Levels, Robin. Levels. Control L. Thank you. Control or Command L. Okay, we're going to do that. And I'm going to drag this down the layer stack there. It's a little bit too far. But I need to go to this layer and use the mask and just eat away there. Again, bringing the opacity down to, a healthy low percentage allows me to blend these things into each other really nicely. And if you don't do that, what will happen is we end up with stuff. I'm going to trim some of that black stuff off around the edges. Okay, simply by doing that. Lovely. Okay. Alright, so we can just blend this stuff in. I'm going to bring the fist down a little bit. There you go. So it all merges in with everything else. I'm going to go back to this layer here and get a little bit more of this chap's hat in. We want more hat. No, we want more hat, not less hat. Okay, I'm going the wrong way. Definitely going the wrong way. I'm making a deliberate error here. I'm actually painting in white on the wrong layer here. So I need to undo that rapidly and try and pretend I didn't notice that. So I need to go to this layer mask and we need to just go the other way. There we go. Just solid it up a little bit in the background there. And that's looking good. So again, I made a revolutionary pause there, but you get the idea. Using layer masks allows us to make these amazing blending techniques, or blending illustrations, I suppose, collaging mixtures together in one fantastic production. Key points to remember here are: use transformation, which is Control or Command T, to bring the size of the images down. Do a rough design and layout, then add your layer mask to the first layer that you're going to paint. Turn the others off so you can just see what you're doing. Blend that in, then turn the next layer on, work on the layer mask, and so on and so forth.